It's Citigroup. And everybody on Wall Street and the entire world expects that you are going to be named CEO of Citigroup in short order.
This is 1998.
1998. This is not what happens. Instead, you get fired. And you have to restart your whole career, everything, your whole life from scratch.
I would say it wasn't quite the model, because if you look at what we did at Commercial Credit, Primerica, which then Travelers and merged, we were a financial conglomerate. We bought lots of companies and lots of different businesses. We fixed them up, we turned around, we made money, and then we merged it with Citibank, which obviously was a huge bank. And my view is we should skinny it down and kind of shed the parts that aren't that important to the rest of the company and keep the things that strategically belong together. It was one of my small disagreements with Sandy about the future of the company. And so, but it was big, it was making a lot of money, it was quite successful at the time, and then I got fired.
So how are you feeling in that moment?
When I got fired?
Yeah, that moment.
And they called me. We had a management meeting Sunday at 4 p.m. that night. And Sandy and John Reed called me up and said, can you come a little early? We got a bunch of stuff to talk about. I was the president and chief operating officer. I said, I can't. They said, well, it's really important. So I drove up there and I sat down in the room with Sandy and John, and they said they want to make a few changes. And there are 3 of them. And they said, we want to make this person in charge of that. I said, okay, well, that didn't make sense to me. The second one, they wanted to make someone in charge of the Global Investment Bank, which I was running. I thought it was another stupid decision. And the third is they said, and we want you to resign. And I said, okay. Because at that moment, I knew it was all arranged. The boards had voted, the press release was written, the management team was coming up. So I waited for the management team to come up. I wished them the best. I said, you guys have a chance to build one of the great companies. They all thanked me. Sandy said, you want to do the press with me? I said, yeah, but I'll do it from home. So I went home, went to see my kids. They were like, one of my daughters here too. They were like 14, 12, and 10. And I walk in the front door and I tell them, I was fired. And the youngest one says, Daddy, do we have to sleep on the streets? I said, no, we're okay. And the middle one, who was always obsessed with college for some reason, can I still go to college? I said, yeah. And the one who was here, was the oldest one, said, great, since you don't need it, can I have your cell phone? And then that night, about 50 people came over. All the same people I just met, all the management team, bringing whiskey, and it was like being at your own wake. And there's one really tall guy who came in, a very good friend of mine, and he looks, and my daughter looks up and says, who are you? He says, I work for your daddy. And she says, not anymore, you don't. And that was it. I was okay. I was like, I tell people, my net worth, not my self-worth, that was involved.